everyone who knows me knows that I'm from New Orleans. I say it all the time.
Yes, you
I
do.
moved here in 2005. Even though things there, the infrastructure is terrible.
Sure,
Right?
absolutely
We think our
terrible.
streets are bad. Oh my goodness. But there is this attitude of we love our city
Yeah.
with all of its scars.
Yes,
For better or
worse.
worse,
Exactly.
this is where we want to be. I want Corpus to be that way also, where we are so excited about the opportunities that we have, wonderful way that we are moving forward together. We have so much potential, but we're not realizing our potential. I think that we are.
Right.
I think that we always say we want to realize our potential. How do we get there? I think we're in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't see it until you are looking backwards.
Welcome to United We Podcast, the official podcast of the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce, the only chamber podcast in South Texas. I'm your host, Arreola Jr., and we're here to explore the latest business insights, community stories, and opportunities shaping the coastal bend. Whether you're a business owner or just passionate about our region, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back, Chamber family and friends, once again to United We Podcast. We are joined by Sarah Tindall of the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Corporation. Sarah, thank you for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Are
We have
you?
a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Yeah.
Well, a lot of stuff to talk about. Do you want to start talking about the really fun stuff or the more pertinent and intense stuff?
Okay, let's start with pertinent intent so we end on really fun stuff. But
Okay, well,
what does Al think is the pertinent,
I think you can.
intense stuff?
I think you can read my mind.
Okay.
What? Water.
The W word.
The W word. So.
Okay, I actually put water into the really fun stuff category. I do.
Well, you're having a different experience with it than I am, I guess.
Yeah, well, I've had a longer experience with it.
Fair enough.
Mike Culbertson, our CEO, was on a big committee in 2012 with a lot of community leaders, and they did a study for 2 years looking at alternative water sources for our region and came up with the conclusion back then, around 2014, that the desalination was our best option.
Okay.
And so the EDC has been pursuing that and supporting that initiative since then.
Sure.
But the thing that I like to think about is that while for us who have been here, this is such a long time coming, and when are we going to get this done? And we've been talking about this forever, and we need this water. When I look at the rest of the state, when I go to economic development conferences or I talk to my counterparts in other parts of the state, they are only now beginning this conversation.
That's fair.
And so they are kind of in panic mode.
Yeah.
Of what sources are available, where can we get water? We need water very badly. It's slowing our growth. There was one community north of us who had to cancel 9 housing developments. Just 9. The developer had to walk away because they just didn't have the water for them.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a long time. We've kind of hashed it all out. We're getting to the finish line. We can see it.
Yeah.
Which means that for us, for the first time in a while, Corpus is ahead.
Well,
right?
yeah, and well, look, you did frame it in a very fun way, and I do appreciate the way you offered that conversation, because you're right. It's literally taken a decade of planning, and we are ahead of the curve compared to most, and in very many ways we're kind of innovating in this space.
Yes,
and I don't think we're bragging on ourselves enough, but I think what we've been dealing with in the past decade is just the reality that the world has shifted, changed, just like a jolt of change, not just a little bit. It's so for the past 5 years, and I think we're back to this is not a fun time to have these conversations. Is over the past 5 years since COVID, you've seen everything go up. I mean, the cost of absolutely everything is up 50%. You can imagine that's affecting construction costs right now in this new administration era. Global dynamics of economies of scale are changing fast.
Yes.
Daily, monthly.
Everything is changing so fast.
Everything. And so a good look no further example that I think you're hearing some concerns about costs and what is cost and cost. Well, I could plan what's going to cost today is not probably going to cost the same thing next month, right?
Correct.
Or a year from now or 2 years from now. And I guess need no look further as an example, the new Harbor Bridge. That was supposed to be done how long ago? And
some time ago.
And look, not shade. There's just realities that projects have challenges, right?
Yes.
And so, so then not only how long ago was it supposed to be done, then you kind of compound that time window with cost, and it obviously costed more than it was supposed to cost too, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we have our concerns is that right now we're finally getting it off the ground. And when we started measuring some of this cost, it might have been different.
Yes.
It was different. It was.
Yeah, but like any business, any company, any of the large industrial companies, especially who have chosen to come here over the last 10 years, every single one of them struggled with this.
Yeah.
It never ends up costing at the end what you thought it was going to cost at the beginning.
Or if you're lucky, the time frame that you wanted
Yes,
done.
yes, the time frame is absurd. But that is just a reality.
Yeah.
And I think that we just need to look forward. And it seems that we are, as a community, kind of mostly united with the idea that we need more water.
Yeah.
Let's go get it. We have this big, gorgeous bay that's ready to. That's an opportunity for us, right?
Right.
We have this advantage where
Right.
we do have that water there. So it's putting us. I think that at the end of 2 or 3 years, when the plant, we've gone through the agony of getting this thing built and finding the money for it, and all the pain of all of these decisions, and we've come together as a community, and the thing is built. The ecstasy is the next thing, right? Because we'll be the ones that have the water, we'll have solved the problem, and we'll be looking like a really wonderful place for people to come and do business or live or whatever.
Well, look, economic development. When you're trying to attract new businesses, bigger employers, if you will, to the region.
Yes.
It's for the folks in the audience to maybe educate everyone on what is it that they're looking for, and there are certainly different types, right? They're looking for different types of things, but between the greenfield type of development or the infield, what's that called? Brownfield or or what's it called?
Well, brownfield is when you've got a site that was something else.
Something else. There you go.
Yeah, like a Sherwin Alumina that you then turn into a.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the greenfield, which was open space.
Right.
So let's start with the greenfields. What is it typically that when they're maybe looking at a site that they're needs to be near the site?
Yeah, so that's kind of what economic development is all about. Is looking at it's kind of a matchmaker.
Yeah.
Right? Make me a match. And so you have the advantages that your community inherently has,
Right.
Which for us is available land, the port infrastructure, the rail infrastructure, our most amazing asset that lately, the thing that drives investment decisions the most over the past 5 years in particular is talent. And where I think our community stands out the most is talent development. We've seen that Tesla is a good example. One of the standout things that Elon looked at when he wanted to put that Tesla lithium facility here was that we had the process technology program in place already at Del Mar. So when Gulf Coast Growth Ventures came here, one of their decisions was based on that process tech program, which the refineries had supported for years and years and years. So we already had this synergy here of that training, and all that needed to happen was for it to be scaled up. So there was a combination of support from both the Type B, which is a city sales tax dollars for economic development, and private sector, Exxon themselves throwing $1 million at it, Del Mar throwing some money at it, and all of a sudden we had this world-class facility training process techs. And so Tesla knew that had happened, so we were at the top of their list. We are better here at looking at the needs of our employers and going to supply those needs, whether that's our wonderful education partners at A&M Corpus Christi and A&M Kingsville or Del Mar or the Craft Training Center. All of them are so ready, willing, and able to tailor programs to give the businesses what they need.
Sure.
And that's not just industry, the
Right.
big industrial partners. I was on a great panel with the A&M Corpus Christi folks last year talking about development and sales. And so they got all of us together who have ever worked in that space, and we talked about how we got into where these jobs, what are the best training was for those jobs, how they can tailor the programs at the university to best prepare the kids in that program to go work in the community here. So we think that that's just the way that it's supposed to go, but it does not go that way
Always.
in a
Right.
lot of places.
Right.
And so it's a wonderful advantage that we have. And so when someone is looking around, a lot of times these large industrials, especially, will know that they want to look at a few states especially for an investment decision. They'll say, we like Texas because it's a business-friendly climate, and they have our power grid is decentralized, and so our power rates are more competitive than in some other places. So they'll say Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, right? So they'll send their teams, or they'll hire site selectors, and they'll look at all of those different areas. They'll kind of compare them. And so we go through that matchmaking process where we all kind of compete to show them, how we fit their needs. And then they make a business decision.
Yeah.
And so we've been so lucky that we've had these wonderful companies that have come here always. Corpus has this great industrial commercial base that has been here for a long time, and that's a good stable thing for a community to have.
Yeah.
Because I look at the example of Oracle Software, who picked Austin 3 or 4 years ago, right? 5 maybe now, to go in with 7,000 employees.
Everybody lost it 2 years during COVID, right? So
Yeah.
so 5 was it 3? Okay, go ahead.
So they pick Austin, and Austin's celebrates. This is great. They're a tech hub, and got Oracle. The problem with a company like that is that their only commitment to your community is that they are leasing office space, right? So if another community comes in and says, we want to attract you, what can we do to bring you in? Which for Oracle, it was Nashville. Said, we want you guys to come here. And all of a sudden, that was the new cool place to be.
Right.
And so they just picked up and left. You
Right.
break the lease, you move, and you lose that investment. When you have a good, stable base like we do, when you have companies coming here putting billions of dollars into the ground, literally, then they're here.
They're here, yeah.
They're here, and they're going to keep employing people and paying taxes for a long time. And that's why our focus at the Economic Development Corporation is on primary jobs.
Yep.
Because those primary jobs are those jobs that are you're bringing new jobs to the community. Now, remember that is new jobs to the community, which is kind of a fun distinction to make.
Sure.
Because it doesn't mean that it's a new person necessarily. That could be a local person getting that job.
Right.
Which we have here a whole lot more than some of our counterparts.
Right.
We had a really good run the past 5 years, and David Loeb, who's the Del Mar Board of Regents, has some great data that he shared with us that shows this impact. We had more people here that kind of skilled up into the jobs that were brought here than in most communities. In most communities, you have a large influx of new people coming in to take those jobs, but the local community is not participating as much as we have here, where a lot of people took those jobs, and we saw.
Well, and you saw it, right, on our median income.
Yes. We saw our median income meet the Texas average last year, and which is for the first time since the 80s.
Wow.
And we had a lot of people who.
And I'm assuming the 80s was tied to oil and gas.
Oil and gas, right? So we had not had that kind of economic success since about 1986 when the oil bust happened.
Right,
So
right.
that's why I say it's all fun to me. I think there's a lot of really good things happening, and it's kind of a grassroots. We can all see it and feel it here.
Well, and so, a lot of folks want to qualify us as like a oil and gas town. I think you would agree with me that we're a manufacturing town. Like,
Yes.
we do make things, and
Yes.
whether it's gas, whether it's jet fuel, whether it's plastics, like at GCGV, or steel, the Steel Dynamics.
Yes.
Steel is all the rage right now.
Steel is all the rage.
on the national and world level.
Yep.
But these again, we're kind of painted with this just generic brush of oil and gas, but there are, I guess, associated or adjacent new energies that are happening, and I think scaling up, and people are starting to get their head around it. I'm still personally trying to get my head around a lot of it, like hydrogen. I know you're well versed in some of these spaces, but
Yes.
can you maybe tell the folks like where maybe some shifts are going to happen, and how we are in a position to really capitalize on carbon capture, on hydrogen, blue and green? Tell them what's going on. What's coming? What's the
Yeah.
world gonna look like?
So, again, it's that matching of infrastructure with the new with industry, right? We have this wonderful oil and gas infrastructure that has been invested in and put here, and there's this whole new wave of industry coming that can and will be supported by that infrastructure. So, one thing that we've been really excited about is the sustainable fuels, which I didn't really understand why that was happening. I knew it was because we already had the fuels here, but I learned a few months ago when we were talking to a sustainable fuels project that they can take those green fuels and just put them into the existing infrastructure. So, for example, if DFW wants to continue to increase the amount of jet fuel that is going into these planes that is sustainably sourced or green, all you have to do is make that green fuel and put it in the pipeline. It does not need a whole new pipeline. So that is a
That is
huge
big. Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
for us. Bill Gates has that Infinium project here, which at the time last year when it was complete and operational, it was the largest sustainable aviation fuel project in the country. And then he announced Project Roadrunner, the same company, Infinium, in West Texas, which will now be bigger than ours. But we hope and plan and we'll see. I think that they
Will
will
grow
then
here.
come back and expand here too.
Good deal.
So that's something that wasn't on our radar a few years ago, and now all of a sudden we're seeing, okay, this is a opportunity where we're taking something that we're already good at and we're transforming it into the new economy, and we will still be good at it. It requires the same workers that we already have. It requires the same infrastructure that we already have, but it's growing our economic base and also helping us to be part of the energy transition in a really fun, cool way. So hydrogen, yes, is something that the Port of Corpus Christi and others identified as a real opportunity for us a few years ago. It's a whole new industry, so it has been definitely fits and starts. We shall see. I don't think it's going away, but we know that we're a good place for it because we have all of the building blocks for those plants, and so I think we're not going to see any big announcements in that space in the next year or two, but we will see it, over a long period of time.
Well, you said that well. Fits and starts.
Fits and starts.
Yeah,
Fits and
that's
starts.
well said.
You get really excited, and then but
Wait,
but
what
here,
happened?
but here.
Yeah, I know.
But and then carbon capture though is continuing to gain momentum. The Oxy 1.5 project out on the King Ranch is public, and they've got some really cool stuff. If you go look at their website, they're going to do direct air capture out there. That project made it through the Trump cuts. Trump cut a bunch of funding to carbon capture projects that just didn't make economic sense at this time, but that one made it through.
Good deal.
And I think because there is a sustainable fuel portion of that one as well. But that's going to be, I think Worley is talking about 2,500 construction employees out there next year.
Oh wow.
Or in a scale up, probably 500 next year, or 1,000 moving forward. But we're seeing these new industries that are kind of on the outskirts of the industry that we've had really start to come into their own in this area.
Texas is an economic powerhouse. Certainly, Corpus Christi helps in that space. I'm sure you talk to your peers from other EDCs across the state.
Yeah.
Where are they most jealous of us for? I can imagine rail, water, all that, but what?
Yes, and the workforce. If you are a smaller community that is not anchored, as Corpus is the anchor for the region,
Right.
And so we're starting to see some really cool things happening, out in Kingsville, out by Alice.
Same.
Those ancillary rural communities are now starting to benefit from having this anchor industry here. So the ones who are kind of out there by themselves are the ones that are the most jealous, because it's so hard to get people there to get stuff done.
Right.
You can have all the gorgeous land in the world, and even be working to get the power there, and But if you don't have that anchor, then you're going to struggle.
Well, Sarah, we could probably go on and on all day, and I think we're getting close to the minute mark. But while I do have you, I do want to thank you for all y'all's partnership at the EDC. I think we took a great crack at this legislative session.
Yes.
Some decent wins that I think we're proud of, and shout out to our delegation, Representative Hunter, Representative Villalobos, both senators in Hosas.
All of it. Every single one. Yep.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, thank y'all for all your hard work for us. Is there any kind of closing remarks? Like I said, we'll have you probably back on here again, and maybe we can announce something special and fun here soon. Yeah, any parting remarks?
Yeah, I think everyone who knows me knows that I'm from New Orleans. I say it all the time.
Yes, you
I
do.
moved here in 2005. But so I've been in Corpus for a long time. I think, though, that the one thing that New Orleans has over Corpus is that they have even though things there, the infrastructure is terrible.
Sure,
right?
absolutely
Right? We
terrible.
think our streets are bad. Oh my goodness, the infrastructure there is terrible. But there is this attitude of we love our city.
Yeah.
With all of its scars.
Yes.
For better or worse,
Exactly.
we're this is where we want to be, and I think that we are getting there. I want Corpus to be that way, also, where we are so excited about the opportunities that we have, the wonderful way that we are moving forward together. And I think that that's something I have not seen here until a few years ago. There was always community pride.
Sure.
There was always this, this is our town, but there was also always this like, but
Yeah. This little brother syndrome almost.
Yes. Where, we have so much potential, but we're not realizing our potential. I think that we are.
Right.
I think that we always say we want to realize our potential. How do we get there? I think we're in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't see it until you are looking backwards.
I agree.
We're there. We're there. Let's go.
I agree. And you know what? While we were talking about New Orleans, now you put some context. Yeah, the people are incredibly proud of a very not good-looking city.
They are proud of the terrible stuff. We're like, our streets are the worst, the worstest. We win the worstest streets. And so there's that. I think when you talk to people who have moved here recently, they are like, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think that we are.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, which I think that was my slogan for a little while. I was like, yeah, we're getting there.
Hang in there.
Hang in there,
Hang
guys.
in there, and we're getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting there, and it's exciting.
Well, Sarah, thank you for all your hard work, all your team, all your hard work at the EDC. Thank you for all you do to keep our community growing and thriving. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Of
This
course.
is fun.
Okay, and I want to thank our audience for joining us. We'll see you again next time.